If you're wondering how you can increase your resting metabolic rate, which simply means the energy your body needs at active resting, then you might want to keep watching this video as we go through the different factors that impact your RMR. So in our last video, we talked about just 4 ways of boosting your metabolism and just metabolism in general and the symptoms that can come with a bad metabolism. So go check that out if you haven't already. But this is a good summary of what we did talk about there as well, because there's 2 big takeaways that are talked about in that last video. But there's also other things and factors that play a role. So I want to give you more of a broad picture of what affects RMR, which is our resting metabolic rate. So again, that's what your body needs at rest to survive, because there's things that we tend to not think. We think exercise and how that affects our energy we use throughout the day. We burn. But a lot of us don't realize that we burn a lot of energy just by breathing and talking and walking and eating. Like, there's so many simple things that our body needs that energy to be alive. And that's exactly what resting metabolic rate means. So there are a couple factors that we do not have any control over when our RMR naturally decreases. And these are things like age. There's 1 to 2% decrease of RMR with every decade that goes by. So I wish we had a perfect anti-aging solution, but we do not. There's also genetics, height, and gender. So these are all things that are kind of out of our control. So let's go ahead and move on to what we can focus on. So what we can focus on, and the 2 big takeaways that are very, very similar to the last video, is food intake and muscle. These are the things that are going to take you far with supporting a healthy metabolism. So please do not overlook these. And I know it sounds really simple and it's like too good to be true, but as long as you're consistent with it, that's really important. And making sure that you're assessing it correctly. I know many people who think that they're doing the right things, they think they're doing the right exercise, they think they're eating enough, but when they start working with us, it is a big eye-opener of, oh, wow, actually, that's not what I thought it was. So make sure you're working with a professional so you can be confident that like everything you're doing it correctly. I know in the other video, we also mentioned thyroid. That is also something we can control with our resting metabolic rate, as thyroid decreases our RMR. Other things like environmental temperatures and altitude, so depending on where you live or where you're vacationing, that can also increase or decrease your RMR, so that's an effect. As well as caffeine can also affect your RMR. And I know I mentioned muscle building, but just movement in general, exercise, walking, stuff like that. So these are all the things that are within our control that we can use to influence our RMR. So if these things aren't working correctly, we are not eating enough, your resting metabolic rate goes down, and then when they are, then they go up. So hopefully you get a good broad grasp of what RMR means and what influences it. So you know the next time you hear the word metabolism, you're like, I know what that is, and I know it affects it. I'll see you in the next video.